Last night he got a response via tweet, of course.
Twitter's an awful place.
Twitter is one of those places where no matter how miserable it makes you, you always feel like you have to come back to it. Like a really hard video game level, or an abusive relative. It's an addictive website. It's carefully designed to give you an infinite column of posts to scroll through. People often call this their timeline. Your timeline can include all kinds of wonderful things, but the thing you'll most often see is angry people. Outrage! I am disgusted! I can't wait to jerk myself off after all the sick roasts I give out. Ratio? I'm going to eat people! Pathetic excuses for journalism. Hell yeah! Everyone on Twitter seems to constantly be angry, whether it's about politics, or fiction, or some furry saying he's gay a lot. I'm gay! Hey. It really is a fascinating culture. A culture built on negativity. Negativity on the internet is not only accepted, it's popular. I should know. If you can get enough people outraged, you'll get those clicks. While on YouTube, negativity is more of a backdrop for analysis and comedy, on Twitter there is a genuine bitterness behind it. People on Twitter don't normally use negativity as a tool for entertainment. They use it as a tool to be, well, negative. So why is this? I think it's because Twitter is, intentionally or not, designed to be an outrage machine. To me, there are two major reasons Twitter is terrible for discussion, and that is its design and its culture. Now, clearly political culture in the world right now is very tense, and this may account for some of the difficulty that arises from trying to discuss things on this website. But I don't think Twitter's format is helping. I think it's safe to say that everyone knows what a tweet is. You type something within a 280 character limit and send it off. It can be retweeted, liked, and replied to by anyone. Here's the first problem. 280 characters is supposed to encourage you to be concise. Now, most people are stupid and don't know how to be concise.
Have you ever had a dream that you could...
So instead of trying to make a clear point, most people just come up with epic roasts against their opponents. The nature of politics means that most problems cannot be discussed thoroughly, clearly, or insightfully within 2 or 3 sentences. It just can't. This is why a lot of political tweets are usually filled with blatant strawmen. There's a certain breed of political tweet that is very popular. It usually goes something like this. Group A. Absurd and exaggerated viewpoint that no one would actually support. Group B. Reasonable and calm viewpoint that no one would actually oppose. How can people support Group A?
Wow, I don't know. Me personally, I love babies. I don't know how anybody can support this.
These kinds of tweets are not clever. They are not insightful. Most people know they are dishonest, but they can get hundreds of thousands of retweets and likes anyway. Why? Well, because it's easy. Anyone can cobble together a caricature of their opponents and argue against it, and when it's on Twitter, it's especially tempting. All you have to do is make a quick, half-assed roast, and that's good enough. And since you don't have much room to get your points across, there's really no expectation to elaborate. Everyone does this at some point. I've done this on occasion, but it's still incredibly flawed. However, there are ways of going around these limitations. You could type a huge paragraph on the Notes app or a Word document and screenshot it. However, these kind of tweets kind of defeat the purpose and often get tiresome to type, screenshot, and open on Twitter again and again and again. Or you could create a thread.
Threads are the bane of my existence.
Threads are simply a big string of connected tweets that are usually numbered by the tweeter. They're clunky, awkward, and unpleasant to read, and sometimes they can consist of 30 to 40 tweets or more. Imagine reading a page of a book, except every 4 sentences the paragraph is cut off at a random word, and is continued several inches later. That is a thread. I would argue that YouTube is better for discussion despite its obvious problems as well. On YouTube, you can't get away with saying 2 or 3 sentences in a video and expect people to take you seriously. Coherent videos often require some editing, a script, some kind of reflection on what you are talking about, something lasting more than a minute at the very least. And of course, YouTube is not perfect. It is clearly very not perfect, and can be as dumb as Twitter on occasion. But hey, at least discussions in the comments allows you to click the replies button and see every single person who replied at once. Twitter's design is good for 2 things: art and memes. I ironically use Twitter for art more than I do DeviantArt, because it's just a more efficient experience. On DeviantArt, if you want to see art from people you watch, you have to click the stack of art, click it again for the specific artwork, and then you can finally see the thing in full detail and favorite it. Then you have to click either the backwards button or go to notifications to repeat the whole process. Now, this whole process only takes like 4 seconds, but when you want to see a lot of art, this adds up. On Twitter, you just scroll down and like, and you have to scroll through each post in order to get to the next one. This makes sure you don't skip any. Same thing happens with memes. I follow a lot of meme bots and out-of-context accounts because they are so efficient. Tweets are most effective to me when it's a little bit of a chuckler, you know? Something that doesn't really need to be discussed in depth, just something to make you go, heh, and then you move on with your life. DeviantArt has a large problem with click fatigue that Twitter doesn't when it comes to art. But Twitter has a big problem with click fatigue when it comes to threads. You have to click through so much crap just to see a few sentences, and it just gets confusing if enough people start arguing. Then you have the complete lack of tone of voice. Your tone of voice can actually be pretty important in communication. It can give you clues about the emotional state of a person even if they aren't really saying what they are literally feeling. Same goes with body language. At least in video you have tone of voice.
Number 15.
And sometimes body language. But on Twitter, both of these things are taken away. Despite this, we have come up with some ways of trying to portray this in text, like putting a bunch of emojis when you're trying to be sarcastic, or putting a variety of capital and lowercase letters to convey a mocking tone. But these aren't surefire ways, especially if you don't know the rules. The final thing is the culture of Twitter. Everything on this website goes by fast. Callouts, cancel culture, and drama are very prevalent, confusing, and can change tides in a blink of an eye. People also have this terrible habit of lecturing others with obvious statements. Not a day goes by where I don't see a tweet that says something like, "Don't rape people." Like, thanks guys. I was thinking about locking someone up in my shed and taking them to the bone zone. But after seeing this tweet, I have now been informed that is wrong and people will not stand me if that happens. And that's the tea, sis. So what, you may be asking yourself? This isn't going to stop people from using Twitter for serious discussion, and you're probably right. But the point I want to make is that people need to stop taking this website so goddamn seriously. I mean, people have gotten fired and had their careers messed with because of tweets dug up from years ago, and people actually think this is a legitimate injustice or something. If you are one of those people who tweet whenever a thought pops into your head, I don't care how perfect of a person you think you are, you will eventually tweet something that in 10 years' time will look bad. We have created this society where every little dumbass comment posted online is elevated to some kind of official statement. People need to step back and really look at what they are getting angry about. When did people start expecting role models from people on the internet? It's why I roll my eyes whenever someone tells another person online they have an ego. Like, duh, everyone on the internet has an ego. It's practically designed to give people egos. Most people have to constantly be promoting themselves or else they won't get very far. People act different on social media than they do in real life. Why does no one get this? Just look at your average Donald Trump tweet, and just stare at all the people who have literally nothing to do but make some of the most futile replies to a tweet that I have ever seen. In fact, I made a drinking game out of it. Drink every time you see someone post a terrible, cringeworthy meme. Drink every time you see an oddly sexual meme or political cartoon. Drink every single time you see the same person respond to every single one of Donald Trump's tweets. I don't know who these people are, and I don't care. I just want to know how it is possible they can find the time to do this. It's kind of impressive. Never mind this drinking game is stupid, you will die within the first tweet. I want to present to you this thought. Is this really a place we should be hashing out social issues seriously? Don't get me wrong, Twitter is a fascinating way of conveying news to people that could potentially have lots of benefits by letting people talk directly through social media. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. Social media. A microblog that is filled to the brim with all kinds of nuts from all kinds of trees. It's a goofy news outlet where you can find out about the latest Trump fiasco at best, and a hellhole full of people jumping to publicly shame you for breathing wrong at worst. Although I view Twitter as a frustrating and difficult place to have an actual discussion, it's here to stay, or at least the format is. Everything on the internet should be treated with a fair degree of skepticism. We've gotta evolve, folks. We gotta adapt to this confusing mess. You aren't going to get an informed opinion about anything from Twitter. Just read a book or something.